So as the markets in which you and your sales team operate in, as business there becomes more and more aggressive and more competitive in a tightening economy, for you to achieve consistent revenue goals, it becomes harder and harder. And so therefore, implementing an effective and well-designed sales process will help you deliver your own version of elephants from Denmark. Implementing and managing a proven sales performance process will do a number of things. Firstly, it's going to provide your average and poor performers with a proven roadmap and an effective methodology for bringing in sales consistently. The other thing it's going to do is increase your control as a sales leader, because it's going to give you a common methodology which will enhance your sales planning, your sales performance coaching, and monitoring the sales activities of your people. It will also increase your pipeline transparency, which will give you a greater sense of knowing where your sales are coming from at any one time. That being said, it's going to improve your forecasting accuracy and predictability. A great sales performance process is going to provide your sales team with a common language and a common performance standard. It's going to reduce the element of chance by providing a well-worn, successful pathway to follow. One of the best advantages of a great sales performance process is that it accelerates sales production and ramp-up time, if you like, for brand new team members. When your company uses an effective selling methodology, it provides you with an easy method for identifying productivity and performance maps, because once in operation, a well-designed and well-managed sales performance process will help you to maintain sales disciplines. It's going to make it easier for you as the sales leader to identify the key areas that require coaching in order for you to accelerate your salespeople's individual revenue production. Really, a well thought out and manageable sales performance process is simply a methodology, or if you like, a way or a recipe of mapping out and testing all the individual steps, actions, tools, and skills that are required to take the sale from qualifying the opportunity all the way through to closing, follow-up, and service. Now, you can bring in external tested sales processes, or you can develop your own. I guess the bottom line is this. As managers, we're taught that really what gets measured gets done, and if you can't manage it, you can't measure it. Well, earlier we established that a sales leader's role is to support their salespeople in successfully achieving their sales goals. Therefore, when we document and replicate and reinforce the best practices and behaviors, we also create a predictable and measurable roadmap for your sales team to follow. And this ensures their best chance for success more often. So whilst the sales performance process is not a total panacea, nonetheless, it's going to really help your individual salespeople to sell more effectively and more efficiently. From a sales leadership perspective, when you have a strong sales performance process working for you, it's going to help identify and provide you and your team with critical success milestones, as well as specific measurable actions that are required to reach each of those targets and move the sale forward. And so therefore, you as a sales leader, when you drive your sales team to use a standardized performance sales process, it will help you leverage their efforts, and therefore you're far more likely to sustain competitive advantage over companies that are reliant on maybe just one or two rainmakers. Okay, so far we've looked at sales performance coaching, we've looked at sales performance planning, sales performance process, and now we're going to take a look at sales performance skills. It's always fascinating to me to see when sales are flat, when sales are down, when the economy bites, when we're challenged by the fact of poor revenue, or what sales managers do, and whether it's sales managers or what bosses do, is just apply pressure, demand more, push, shove. I suppose the question is, does that work? Well, both the research as well as experience shows that simply just demanding that your salespeople or your sales team deliver more doesn't necessarily increase revenue. The fact is, applying pressure and pushing your salespeople to perform may bring in a few short-term sales. The problem is, all too often, the pressure that you apply on them gets carried with them into the field, and customers resist when they feel they're being pressured to buy. And so the best sales leaders don't simply increase the pressure to perform on the sales team. They set about building each individual salesperson's capability in order to make them more effective. So what we're talking about here is we're saying, currently your salespeople are getting a result. Now, there might be a gap between the current result and the result you want. And so the question is, what needs to be done in order to bridge that gap? What needs to change in order to narrow the gap between your current state or current reality and the goal that needs to be achieved? And often it's about building the individual's capability, making them more effective on the ground. So let's just say you have a salesperson who's currently making 10 sales calls a week. And let's just say that at this point we have a method for measuring the impact for the effectiveness of the individual sales call. And let's say currently they're averaging about 2.5 out of 5 in terms of actual measurement of impact on the ground, in the field, with the customer, with the prospect. So in other words, of the 10 sales calls a week, how many of those are really, really effective and are having an impact? What needs to change is we need to ramp up the impact, the effectiveness of that sales call, so that we move the number from a 2.5 out of 5 to a 4 out of 5. Now we're talking about building the individual's capability so that they can improve their effectiveness when they're in front of a prospect, when they're in front of a customer. Now, we don't have to ramp up any more pressure. We don't have to add any more workload. It's about improving the results and the impact of the current workload that's already being delivered. In other words, if someone is currently lifting a 75 kilogram weight, if we can improve their form, their technique, if we can ramp up their skill, their fitness, then we improve their effectiveness, and now they're able to lift an 85 kilogram weight. I'm often asked, how can we increase our sales by 10%, by 20%? We've got a sales increase that we're expected to deliver, which is 10% above last year. And my question that I would ask, and I would ask you listening the same question, if you have to get 10% more than last year, are you 10% better? Is your team 10% better than it was last year? Are they 10% better at planning? Are they 10% better at prospecting, at qualifying, at questioning, at identifying pain? Are they 10% better when it comes to presenting, when it comes to adding value, when it comes to negotiating? So it stands to reason. If you want 10% more, you and your team need to be doing things 10% better. For you to get an increased result, you have to have increased capability.